Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing okay. Today I am going to do a second upload for the day. An update. Before we get into it, though, a couple of links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch store to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. The links to those are also in the description as well. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? Alright guys, so for the past 2 months, I have been covering 2 cases out of Cott County on Jimtown Road. Tony Ahrens and Amber Miller. Today, well, there's a lot of speculation out there, and there's a lot of people talking. There's just a lot of, I'm not going to say nonsense, but just a lot of fabrications out there. So I reached out to my uncle, who is the undersheriff in Warren County, and who was featured in the 411 Hunted movie for the Tom Messick case. And I explained to him, hey, I really think that something is up with this. And I shared what I have come across. And I said, I'd really like some help if you could help me. And I don't like asking anyone for help. So he said, sounds like a good time. Let's put on a pot of coffee and make some phone calls. So he uses the clout that he has, and we call the Cott County Sheriff's Department, and we get nowhere. It's like an iron curtain. Next, we contact the first responders that responded to Tony Ahrens. Mind you, there was no first responders for Amber Miller. Why? Because she was picked up by a Good Samaritan and brought to the hospital. So we got a little somewhere with the first responders. They talked to us. They said, yeah, it was a very, very brutal and bloody mess when they first arrived. And then we started to ask a little more, and the Iron Curtain was pulled down again. Now, when I say Iron Curtain, I mean it was locked tight. And this is, I'm not speaking. My uncle is. And he is just using, he was using his clout. Like, he was like, hey, this, and that for my own personal interests. I'd like to, maybe I can help, yada, yada, yada. And so no one would even talk to him, which is crazy because, there's just people out there claiming different things. And it was just nuts because we were like, why are we getting like stonewalled here? And then we just started digging. And we realized why we were getting stonewalled. And I really think that I am on the right path, that it was a Dogman. And these are not, I don't just talk out my ass. I literally have proof, documentation. I'm not just saying, hey, this, and that. This is crazy. And these two cases, I'm now seeing why. First of all, I believe 100% it was a Dogman. And I'm pretty sure the town does as well. But the whole thing is a shit show. It really is. And I'm going to share what we discovered today. Mind you, my uncle got nowhere. It was crazy. No one would talk. Just Iron Curtain. And that made absolutely no sense to us. You know, I mean, it was just baffling. He was pissed, actually. He was pissed. We started going on to Facebook, looking on Instagram, looking on Twitter, boom, boom, boom. We were going everywhere. We did speak to a Brittany Tarwater. She's a reporter out there. We figured a little bit of info from her out, but I'm going to share with you the craziness and why it's so tight-lipped. Warrants executed weeks and months after fatal Cott County dog attacks. Fumbling response to Tony Aarons and Amber Miller mauling death outrage many in Newport, Tennessee. 119 days after April 1st, 2021 dog attack death of Tony Aarons, 52, 16 days after 3 dogs were seen standing over Amber Miller, 29, fatally mauled at the same location on July 12th, 2021. The sheriff's office in Cott County, Tennessee, last executed a search warrant related to the case and arrested a person of interest. But the person of interest did not stay in jail for long. Investigators learned Miller's injuries occurred on or near Charles Owensby's residence at 522 Carnation Way, Newport, just off of Jimtown Road. Ex-wife's premise was searched on July 19, 2021. A forensic team from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation gathered evidence from Owensby's residence and property. A few days later, he was interviewed. On July 28, 2021, around 6 a.m., Sheriff's Department executed a search warrant at the residence of Owensby's ex-wife in Edwina community, an unincorporated hamlet about 4.5 miles south of 522 Carnation Way. Owensby's ex-wife, Cecilia McCarter, who divorced him in 2015, is a pharmacist in Morristown, Tennessee, about 20 miles north. In 1994, she shot a 34-year-old man named Everett Woodley at the 522 Carnation Way address. A non-fatal shooting was ruled accidental. So, Charles Owensby was the one who found Tony Aarons at his 522 Carnation Way location. He called 911. But yet, now, the officials know after the second attack, because there were no bites, there were lacerations, tears, savagery. We've got to pin this on somebody. We're fumbling around here with these cases, and people in Newport are getting freaking pissed and scared. So what do? Well, let's put a warrant out for his arrest for pot, because we know he smokes pot. But yet, let's search his ex-wife's premise 4.5 miles away. 4.5 miles away. Makes no sense, right? They're just pinning this shit on this guy. And granted, he's not a good person. You know, I don't know if he's a good person or not, but I'm just going by his court cases and legality bullshit that he's been through. So, arrested for marijuana and released on a $1,000 bond. Charles Owensby was arrested at the scene for possession of marijuana, and aggressive dog was taken into custody. So he's released on a $1,000 bond. So pretty much, I think it was like $100 or even $10, something like 10% of $1,000. So next to nothing. They just took him in to fuck with him. Owensby, with an extensive multi-state arrest record and at least one felony conviction for concealing stolen property, was reportedly released on that bond. Investigators collected DNA from 2 other dogs at the location that belonged to other people in 2 separate homes on the property. Sheriff Armando Fuentes, who was conspicuously absent from the involvement in the Aarons and Miller death investigation earlier, said deputies he had probable cause to seize the animals. So now the sheriff is just gone in the wind. You know, they're doing a search warrant for a high-profile case. High profile. But he's not there. That's weird, right? It's weird. And this guy's a weird guy, too, because there's pictures of him in a tutu with an AR-15 in his police uniform. How weird is that? All right? It just gets stranger. While searching the scene, officers located a shallow grave at the property containing a dead dog. Investigators collected DNA from it and seized a vehicle owned by Owensby to undergo forensic processing. Partially devoured. Why obtaining and executing the search warrant took nearly 4 months and a second death after Charles Everett Owensby, 69, reported finding Aaron's body near his mailbox remains unclear. Mind you, Tony Aarons was reportedly last talked to or seen at 9:30. He was found partially devoured 3 hours later. 3 hours. Do you know how long it takes to do something like that? A very long time. As Cott County Sheriff's Office mentioned in announcing Aaron's death 17 days later, the body appeared to have been partially devoured by an animal. Cott County Sheriff's Office later acknowledged that the male had lacerations across his entire body and flesh missing from his left arm, indicative of having been pulled down by his arm while trying to fend off whatever had killed him. Cott County Sheriff's Office already knew that Owensby, known on Facebook as Charlie Dogman, kept dogs identified by multiple neighbors as cane corsos, including multiple bite complaints, neighbors testified on Facebook posts. Dogs already well known to the police. Owensby was previously accused of ordering his dog to attack a man, prompting an aggravated assault and evading police charge. Moreover, Cott County Sheriff's Office already had direct experience with at least one of Owensby's dogs. Well, naturally, that we started digging in. That case, there was an argument, a disagreement. Mind you, this guy is not a shining friggin' example of citizenship, you know, like he's just an asshole. I'm not, you know, yeah, he's not the, you know, but why pin a dog man mauling too on this guy? Obviously, they can't because he's not in jail now. Their pot charge didn't stick. So this guy got into an argument. He pretty much got into an argument with another man over drugs. And the guy, him and him were fighting. The dog, what dog doesn't, you know, attack to protect their owner? The police are talking also about the incident where the police know of this dog. Well, because you smashed in his door and at 6 a.m, and what do dogs do? What do dogs do when someone comes through your door? If they are a protective dog, they're going to protect their owner in their home. So, of course, they're going to be aggressive. It's only common sense. It's very cut and dry. In 2014, court affidavits show Owensby's dog was on the front porch and became aggressive with Newport police. Documents said Owensby ran out the back door after police identified themselves. At the time, they were serving a warrant for possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, reckless endangerment of a weapon, aggravated assault, and a violation of a protection order. So, of course, this dog, you're once again, regardless of, and I love how they put what this guy has done. None of these are murder. None of these are, but they're going to keep filling this. They're going to just pound that into your head. So you know. But then this. Charles Owensby's son, Joshua Everett Owensby, was also recently listed at 522 Carnation Way. He is a self-employed certified dog in trainer. A large dog cage in the yard at 522 Carnation Way can be seen from Jimtown Road. They literally have not been able to identify, they've taken DNA from 4 dogs, 3 living, 1 dead. None of the DNA is matching. None of it. So that's why they keep spewing this bullshit. So then this is the real deal. Cobb County Sheriff's Office does not appear to have done much of anything that is normally done in a dog attack. Even after local minister Tony Mays and an unidentified friend passed by Jimtown Road with Miller, according to medical personnel who tried to save her life, her calf was ripped off and both of her arms barely attached to her body, asserted Sheriff Fuentes on July 28th. There was no information and no apparent evidence of dogs being involved at the time of Aaron's death. Investigators did see injuries that could be consistent with some sort of animal in Aaron's case, but rely on forensic and other special investigators to determine the cause of injuries. So, right there, they really are saying, hey, Tony Aarons was not killed by dogs, nor was Amber Miller. I really wish there was a timeline when Amber was last seen to when she was found, because that would actually give us a better kind of view, a schematic of everything. So it's very easy for the police, if this was a dog attack, to do search and seizure warrants. They could do a lot. They could immediately impound whatever was in these cages that were located. They could get a warrant to test the feces for DNA. There's a lot they could do. They, as of right now, they're holding, I believe, 2, possibly 3 of those dogs on a rabies quarantine for 10 days to 2 weeks, which is allowed by law. And then they can collect samples. They can go through the feces and see if there's flesh, yada, yada, yada. But this should not have happened. I said it in the beginning of the year. We're going to have a shitload of these. And unfortunately, I've been right. I think I've covered, I want to say 12. I've talked about 12 deaths so far that don't make sense. Now, just to make the public secure, that's why they're feeding the lies and the craziness, and they're just going nuts. the granddaughter, her name's Candace Gregg, stated that they searched my grandmother's property. They dug up mine and my grandmother's dog that died 3 months ago. Keep in mind, this property is 5 miles away, not on Jimtown Road. The dog they dug up did not leave the house or property from Edwina ever in its lifetime. And then there's this, the dogs that they are pointing to. The son of Owensby. They tested 4 dogs. They dug up the dogs. The 2 my dad and Grandma own, which were only 7 months old, and one they actually took into custody. That dog is 17 years old, and the only reason they took her is because they had to arrest Charlie, and she couldn't stay with my grandma or dad. Charles Owensby has had dogs, as he is a well-known dog trainer. But about a month or 2 ago, someone killed all of his dogs except for one, which is the one the cops took into custody. His dogs were killed weeks before Amber Miller was attacked. This is the first and only public claim that any of the dogs suspected of attacking people and animals in the vicinity of 522 Carnation Way had been killed. Does that make sense to you? None of this makes sense. None of it. And then, they're dragging everybody through the mud. They've dragged Owensby through the mud. They've dragged his ex-wife through the mud. They're even dragging Amber Miller through the mud. The girl who was attacked. This is something the news article wrote. Amber Miller was reportedly raised by her grandparents after her father, Robert Scott Miller, 26, a 5-year Cott County deputy sheriff, was on October 11th, 94, shot dead while helping the FBI apprehend 2 fugitives. Both Amber Miller and her mother, Cindy Miller, struggled later with substance abuse and were occasionally arrested. Amber Miller charged in 2018. Most seriously, Amber Miller, on January 2018, charged with 3 counts, each of child abuse and neglect. After calling to tell Cott County Sheriff's Office that first one of her children and then another had stopped breathing, and that she was having trouble breathing herself. The Morristown Citizens Tribune, Miller told officers she was taking Suboxone and also breastfeeding. She failed a subsequent test for amphetamines, methamphetamines, barbiturates, MDMA. Subsequent to that, though, both Amber and Cindy appeared to have turned their lives around. See what I mean? This case is nuts. It's nuts. There's an iron wall, an iron curtain down. Nobody is talking. The sheriffs aren't talking. The first responders aren't talking. I don't know. I've read on Facebook, I've read other places that people have claimed to talk to the first responders and sheriff. That's not true. My uncle is a cop. He's a sheriff. He's an undersheriff, man. Which means he's right under the sheriff. He's not a deputy. And he was not allowed to. This is just absolutely bonkers. When have you seen a case where a victim is then victimized by the media? This is Dogman. This is Dogman, Sasquatch. This is something, and it's Dogman 100%. But this is a government cover-up, and it is corruption at the highest levels in Tennessee. So, with that, I'm going to bid you farewell. I ask you this last thing. Think about these things that I talked to you about tonight. Just think about them. None of it makes sense. It's all pointing. You've got one arrow pointing one way, another arrow pointing another pointing another. It's just like, it is a shit show. And it's sad because 2 people lost their lives. And that's what should be looked at. Not a smear campaign. And that's all that's going on. Well, why? Why is there a smear campaign? Because the local, state, federal governments know that if the truth gets out, people are going to go bonkers. So they protect their ass. They make a smear campaign, and they think the government, whatever state, local, federal, they really think we are friggin' idiots. They really do. They think we are absolute buffoons. Yet if you look at them, go look at Armando Fuentes in his pink tutu with an AR-15. None of it makes sense, guys. And it only points to one thing. Cover up, corruption, Dogman. And I know that's 3 things, but that's one thing in my eyes. Have a good day, guys. Stay well, be kind to each other, and see ya!